Hey everyone, and thanks for joining me again for my third video on love. Today, I want to talk about how to give love, how to give love from your heart. The first thing we have to remember is that we want to see ourselves in everyone we meet. That is key. If you can see a piece of yourself in every human being, you will flow through life much easier. Because what we usually do is see where we're different from other people. And that difference creates more of a negative vibration and keeps us from wanting to hang out with certain people. And I'm not saying that you should hang out with everyone. You definitely shouldn't. You need to honor yourself and hang out with people that you feel drawn to. But the way we have a more peaceful world is by finding ourselves in every single human being. Because we are all God's children. We're all one family. We're brothers and sisters. We have to find the oneness of our connection to each other. Find where we're alike and not different. And this helps build connection. And we have much more in common than we think that we do. So, for instance, I have a neighbor next door, and I always waved and was friendly. We've been living in the same place for over 20 years. But I never really forged a connection with her. We come from different cultures, different languages, different backgrounds. I didn't really see that we had that much in common. And then one day she got a dog, and our dogs became friends. And it was really beautiful. I mean, our dogs became friends. They don't care about any of those differences. And slowly we became friends. And at first we started just talking about dogs, but over time we found more and more that we had in common. And I want to say that the advice that I'm giving today can be applied to, a neighbor, a stranger, anyone you meet in the world, and your romantic partnership. It's the same thing. In a romantic partnership, you want to always be looking for where you connect from yourself in that person, what it was that brought you together in the first place. What were your commonalities? Find those commonalities again, and that will help you connect again. If you look for what you have different, which is what most people do, then chances are your relationship will last. And then the next way that we can give love is when we understand that we want to focus on what we're giving versus what we're owed. We want to make sure that we give without the feeling of a need for something in return. This is how we're naturally designed, but somewhere along the way, we were taught by our society that if I do this, then I get this. And these are unrealistic expectations. The reality is, we shouldn't have expectations for anyone about anything. I used to have an exercise that I would do with my groups where every day you decide when the day starts that you're going to try to give three things and then receive three things. I'll talk about the receiving next week when I'm talking about how to receive love. But for today, giving love. So, giving three things a day of love. It could be something as simple as opening and holding a door for somebody or helping someone with their groceries. But it could also be calling a friend that you're feeling is hurting and asking them how they are and being present and listening to them while they talk about something that's upsetting them. It could be going to a concert with your romantic partner. Maybe it's a concert you don't even really like, but you love the person so much that you're willing to go to this concert and you don't expect anything in return. So it's more about giving from the heart without expectation. If you could teach yourself how to stay neutral and not have expectations, you'd be in bliss. It's hard to do. The next way that we give love to other people is to be present with really everyone, but mostly to be present with friends and our romantic partnerships. This is becoming more and more tricky because people are very distracted. When your partner calls you on the phone to talk to you, are you looking at your cell phone while you're talking to them? Are you emptying the dishwasher while you're talking to them? Can you give the person that you're with your full presence? Because when you do that to them, you're telling them that you are important to me. And when you are present to them, chances are they will be present to you. So you want to be a good listener to your friend or your partner or a stranger. Can you listen to somebody talk about their problems, confide in you without trying to solve them? Can you just be present and listen without thinking about what you're going to say next? This is a hard one to do. Again, can you be present and not be distracted? Don't look at your phone. Don't walk away. Sit and stare in their eyes. And then if you really are being present, a beautiful thing to do is to validate what they said by sort of recounting, reframing what they said. Oh, okay. So I think if I heard you correctly, you were saying that you had a hard day today because the copying machine wasn't working at work today. Your boss was really unkind to you. Relaying what they said so that they feel like they've been heard. These are little things, but they're massive in what they could do for your relationships. And then another thing that I find very helpful with giving love, especially in any partnerships that you're in, but you could also do this with close friends. There's a guy named Gary Chapman, and he has a book out called The 5 Love Languages. It's a wonderful book. You can actually do it online, and I think there's even an app for it where you fill out a quiz to find out what your 5 love languages are. And then you can give it to your friend or your partner, your romantic partner, and have them fill it out so they can let you know what their 5 languages of what their languages of love are. And then you compare notes. So the 5 languages of love are words of affirmation, quality time, physical touch, acts of service, and receiving gifts. So, it's interesting because I think what we tend to do is, I know for me, my languages of love are, I love gifts. I love to buy people gifts. I love to receive gifts. And I love spending quality time with people. Well, when my husband filled this out, his love languages were completely different. His were physical touch and acts of service. So once I found out that my partner liked acts of service and physical touch, then I try to be mindful to do and be those things more often. Make sure I'm giving lots of hugs and kisses. Make sure that maybe I take the trash out, before he comes home so he doesn't have to deal with it. Just little ways that I can help make his life easier. So it's really a communication thing. It's finding out, just because something is important to you doesn't mean that's important to someone else. And it's sort of meeting people where they're at, celebrating who they are, and not trying to change them. That's another way that we love people, is we allow them to be who they are. I mean, that's tricky for a lot of us. But the more we try to change someone, the further away from the love vibration we get, the more we get into control. And control is not a positive vibration, and it brings you nowhere near love. Okay. So I also want to say that in the notes, I will have a link to the Gary Chapman 5 Languages of Love. So you can see what your languages are. And then something that I always love to teach people is hugs. Hugs are incredibly powerful because it's really an exchange of energy. My energy is connecting with your energy. And when we hug, we really want to hold the hug for a little while. 7 seconds is optimal. And I used to do this with my group, and I know 7 seconds feels like several minutes. So it might not be appropriate for some friendships, but certainly in your romantic relationships, as well as if you have children or relatives that you're close with. When you hug, it's really beautiful if you can hold it for 7 seconds. So in the beginning, when you're doing this, count to yourself, because it allows that person to relax into the hug, to feel that energy exchange. It is beautiful. I know you need to ask permission with people you don't know really well if you hug them, if you can hug them, especially, with COVID, people don't necessarily feel comfortable. But if they do, give as many hugs as you can. People need hugs. Everyone feels, disconnected or lonely. Hugs are magic. They really are. And I also want to say that if there's a young person in your life, a child in your life, whether it's your kid or anyone that you know, what's really effective is when you come down to their level, when you get down on your knees and hug them, so that you show them that you're not higher than them, that you really are just the same. It's a beautiful energy exchange. And then the final way that I have for suggesting to help give more love is giving more love to the world with volunteering. And whenever you volunteer, you definitely want to volunteer in a way that you feel connected to. Like if you love animals, then do some sort of volunteering with animals. Maybe, help out in a shelter. Maybe walk somebody's dog who's too elderly and can't walk their dog. But you can, help in your community, or you can help in a global way. Certainly you can give money to things. You can join meditation groups where you globally try and raise the vibration of the world. There are infinite ways to help. The beautiful thing about this giving without expectation of receiving, is the irony is you get the love coming back to you 10,000 fold. You know how you feel when you do something kind for someone else with no expectation and you feel their gratitude. There's no more beautiful feeling. You walk away feeling happier than they did. So that's why you don't need to have expectations. You don't need to have, well, if I did this, then they should do this. No, it's actually the opposite. Just give love with your heart, and watch how your life changes and watch how love grows. So thank you so much. If you like this video, if it helped at all, please give a thumbs up and watch next week, where I'm going to talk about how to receive love, which can be very tricky, especially for women. We're known for oftentimes pushing love away or having walls up and not letting love in. Receiving love is equally as important as giving love. Thanks for joining me, and I love you.